guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to talk about how to become general in Frontline ASAP. Furthermore, I will give you some tips to increase the credit income when you are playing this game mode. If you're interested in more reviews and gameplay, go to YouTube and search for World of Tanks with Bruce to get all of my videos, or click on the subscribe button. In addition to this, you can now also support me on Patreon, so feel free to follow this link and become a patron. And now, let's go. Frontline is a unique game mode in which you can play on huge and wide maps only against tier 8 opponents. This is very attractive compared to the random games. With my 10 golden tips, I want to show you how you can become general as soon as possible. I will furthermore tell you how you can increase your credit income. Indeed, Frontline is a unique opportunity to make credits for a free-to-play player. So without further ado, let's jump into the battle. Alright guys, here we are in our first game. Actually, I'm today only going to show one game, but Frontline is a longer game anyways. And this has actually been my first Frontline game in this season. So I want to show you how you can effectively become a general with a couple of tips and tricks in Frontline in 2022. So as you can see in this game, I am on the defending side. In general, I believe that attacking is a bit of an advantage if you want to become a general, and we will see if this is true later on in the game stats and see how many of the attackers have managed to get general, to become a general, and how many of the defenders have had the chance to become a general. Well, I'm playing the 122 TM, the Chinese medium tank destroyer. I just wanted to take this tank onto the battlefield to see how well it performs. Now, two short introductional tips. First of all, it's always beneficial to platoon. Just like in a regular game, you will make more credits and you will get more experience. Plus, for those of you who are new to the game, right here you can see the countdown, right here, and this countdown is important for you because it tells you when your next tank will be available. Now, the indication on the left hand side right here shows you that in white, if those infills are white, then this means that you have a tank available. If you have two infills, then obviously you have more than one available. But only one white infill means that you only have one tank available. And so you always want to make sure that you don't throw away your tank too early, because then you will not have a tank available, and you will have to kind of watch the others play the game while waiting for your time to count down so that you have the next tank available. And obviously, if you cannot participate at the game, then you also cannot make damage. So this is important to keep in mind. Okay, but how can you become a general as quickly as possible in Frontline? Well, I have 10 golden tips for you. Some tips in order to really help you out to become general as quickly as possible, and then also some tips to, let's say, to boost your economy and to take the most out of Frontline when it comes to credits and when it comes to earn as much as possible. Because after all, Frontline is a great experience. It is a tier 8 only battle in 2022, and so you will not be low tier, so the gaming experience will actually be pretty nice, and you should really make use of this and use Frontline to get as much credits as possible. Okay, so let's start with tip number 1. How can you become a general as quickly as possible? Well, the first thing you should do is play a medium tank or a light tank instead of a heavy tank or instead of tank destroyers. In general, mobility is key to success in Frontline, because you never want to be, let's say, out of the game when it comes to making damage. You always want to be where the fight takes place, and you want to be able to quickly move around the battlefield. And Frontline is played on huge maps, as you can see right here, and as you already know. So chances are that, for example, if the enemy team does not see a chance to, let's say, win your side of the map, your corridor, then they most likely switch to another corridor. Now, if you are stuck on let's say on one part of the map with a tank with relatively low mobility, then that's actually not good for you. Plus, in general, obviously, you have those repair points marked right here, in which you can yeah, repair your tank for free, and so reaching those points more quickly is another benefit. And in general, it is just yeah, the maps are big, so mobility is the key to success. So all in all, play medium tanks, play light tanks, play tanks with a better mobility instead of slower tanks, which are maybe much more heavily armored. And yeah, you could now argue that, well, Bruce, why are you playing the 122 TM? Well, I wanted to try this tank out. Obviously, there is a trade-off between, I would say, mobility and armor. And so if you are an experienced player, I think it is much more useful or beneficial to play a tank which is more mobile. If you are, let's say, an average player or new to the game, then it might make more sense to play a tank which is which has a better armor profile, which allows you to make one or another mistake without getting destroyed instantaneously. So for those of you who belong to the latter category, you might want to use a tank like the 122 TM, which has actually quite some armor, especially over longer distances. Okay, then tip number 2 is play autoloader tanks or tanks with high DPM, or at least, like in this case, high alpha damage. Firepower is quite important in Frontline, much more important compared to armor. So if you have a tank, for example, with a high alpha gun but with a really bad gun handling, then I would certainly not play this tank. Take out the tanks which have good gun handling and which have high firepower. For example, autoloader tanks like the Lorraine 40T, for example. This is a great tank for Frontline, or for example the WoT 46. Those tanks have a unique firepower and are very well suited for Frontline. Okay, so we get destroyed right here, and then the next tank that I selected, and I think the replays here are a little bit buggy, so you just have to live with it. I hope it is not too much of a problem, but obviously in game I selected the new tank instantaneously, but I think this is as I said, a replay bug. Yep, here you are. Here we go. So the next tank I selected is actually the Lorraine 40T with its great mobility. Now, I don't know if you have recognized it, but for the first clip you don't have to wait the full time to actually load it. So this is a benefit for tanks like the Lorraine 40T, which have a very long reload time for the full clip. So the full clip will be loaded relatively quickly. I was talking about preferring firepower over armor, and just like I've said before, if you have lost HP, just drive to a maintenance point and get refreshed. So armor is actually not too important in Frontline compared to a regular game. Alright, tip number 3 is try to spawn where most of the enemies are located. But keep in mind, only if there's a good number of friendly tanks. In Frontline, you want to be engaged in the fight. If you have the possibility to make damage, then you will have the chance to become a general. So you want to be where the fight takes place, but you don't want to be on your own and try to fight against multiple opponents on your own. This is not what you want to do, because you will be overrun and you will not have the chance to make damage as you wish. So be on a flank where lots of enemies are. So for example, let's see here on our front, as you can see, we have lots of enemies and also lots of teammates, and this is actually a preferred front. Sometimes if one let's say one quadrant is very well defended by one team, then the number of enemy tanks gets reduced because all the enemies are spawning on another flank, because they don't want to try it on this flank, which is well defended. And so in this case, as a player, it doesn't make sense to stay on this flank because you will not have enough enemies, enough opponent tanks, in order to make good amounts of damage to become a general. So in this case, what you want to do is you want to change the flank as soon as possible. And once again, mobility is key to success. Yes, you can self-destroy your tank and then switch to another flank, but what you want to do is you want to use one tank as long as possible. Keep in mind your reload that I talked about. Now, as you can see, it looks like flank number or quadrant number C is very well defended, and so I switched to this quadrant, to Delta, because I thought that we might have a chance to hold up the advance of the enemy team here. And as the team is already advancing quite well on this flank, chances are that we can encounter lots of enemy tanks. And as you can see, it is the case right here. Okay, so tip number 4 is don't be too aggressive. Don't throw away your tank. Conduct smart gameplay and try to outplay your enemies. If needed, try to use your mobility to surprise enemy tanks. So obviously, it's not a surprise to say that you have to make damage to become a general, and the better you play, the higher the chance is for you to become a general. So don't simply conduct stupid gameplay in the sense of showing yourself again and again at the same spot, but try to outplay your opponents, try to conduct smart gameplay, and try to be as intelligent as it is possible. Okay, so I got a little internet breakdown right here. That's okay. Now I have to leave the sector, and what I want to do is I want to drive through the repair point to get refreshed. And now I want to set myself up. Rusk is going to the other side. Here you go. I want to set myself up in a defensive position to hold up the enemy team as long as possible. And my chances to make as much damage as possible. Here you go. Nice. But I also want to get this countdown down so that I get another additional tank. And so let's see how it goes. Now, tip number 5 is as a defender, try to defend the cap circles. As an offender on the other side, try to cap. This gives extra points in Frontline, and the amount of points is actually changed from time to time. But still, even in 2022, capping and decapping brings extra points, and it will decrease the time you need in order to become a general in Frontline. So this is my tip for you. Now, you have to keep in mind to not be the first one entering a cap circle, and never ever try to cap on your own. Instead, wait until you have support and only cap as a team. If you enter a cap circle, you will be focused, and keep in mind what I just said. Obviously, the defending team will also concentrate on the cap circles and try to defend them, and so you will get focused. So only enter a cap circle if chances are that you are capping successfully. So this is very, very important. I see lots of players just entering a cap circle hoping to get extra points, but they are taken out instantaneously, and so this is actually not a good idea because you will only throw away your tank. They're trying to use the artillery strike right here, maybe on the T-26. Okay, which is actually driving Okay, this was unsuccessful. So as you can see, my game plan here is, well, I would say not too good right now. Yes, I made 4,200 damage, achieved lieutenant, but so far I made quite some mistakes, and you can quite let's say make a better gameplay compared to the gameplay that I did in my very first Frontline game in this season. Alright, tip number 6 is, if you're not the most experienced player, as I said, take a tank on the battlefield which has maybe a bit more armor. And here my tip for you is to take out hull down tank on the battlefield. So tank like the Centurion Type 1, or maybe yeah, maybe the 122 TM, or there are other tanks which are very strong hull down. Now if it's a medium tank, for example the Centurion Type 1, then those tanks actually have quite some good mobility as a medium tank, but they offer a hull down capability, and on the map there are lots of possibilities to play hull down. So those tanks, those hull down tanks, combine the advantage of having a good mobility with a decent armor, which makes it very, very easy, especially for beginners or for, let's say, the average player, to sit in front of the enemies and to pump out damage and not receiving any damage in return. So yeah, try to take out hull down tanks on the battlefield, especially if you are, let's say, an average player, or not the best player in World of Tanks, not the most experienced player in World of Tanks. Now if you don't exactly know how to play hull down or what hull down means, just watch my guide, which is linked right here. I made a dedicated guide on how to play hull down, which might be very, very useful for you, because there is actually some theory behind it. So feel free to check out this guide to fully understand the concept of playing hull down. Alright, yeah, we increased our damage to above 5,000, which is great. And let's see if we can get a shot on the scope, or maybe the... Okay, the T is shooting too. Oh, nice. We get all the sweet assisting damage. Nice. So tip number 7 is use all your perks or features, or if you want to call them, wisely. So as you can see, as this was the first game, I only have inspiring, then the airstrike, and then the recon game or recon plane available. Now you want to use those features wisely. So for example, the artillery strike, try to use the artillery strike on a cap circle. This will give you additional points. So if you, for example, manage to decap with your artillery strike if you are on the defending team, then this will give you additional points. Now for example, the recon, don't use the recon to simply spot one tank. Use it to spot multiple tanks, and especially only use the recon if there are enough tanks of a friendly team which can actually benefit from your recon plane. So it does not make sense to use the recon plane for you if you are the only tank on a respective flank. Instead, use the recon plane on another flank where lots of friendly forces are located. And lastly, the inspiring skill, same applies for this. Only use the expiring skill if there are lots of enemy tanks around you. So this is how you can make more use of those features. Try to use them wisely and try to think before using them. And I think if you follow those 7 tips, your chances of becoming a general are actually not too bad. Now I want to talk a little bit about economy and how to get more credits in Frontline, because Frontline is a decent mode to farm credits. Now If you have, use a day of premium account, because obviously a day of premium account significantly increases your income. And if you can, this is actually tip number 8, use a premium tank. Now obviously you have to have a tier 8 premium tank, and as I said, best case is that you have 3 premium tanks available in your garage. But if you have, use a premium tank, because then you will make more credits as in a regular game. And Frontline is a nice game mode because there are only tier 8 tanks, so you are never low tier, and making credits is relatively easy. Alongside with this tip is obviously try to use premium tanks which have a decent standard penetration, because if you have a tank like the 122 TM with its, what is it, 233 millimeters of standard penetration, then you will not have to use premium shells. And using a premium tank, if you can, with the premium account, with the crew booster, so with increased credit income, with the premium tank, with standard ammunition, then you will make tons of credits in Frontline. And Frontline is, in my opinion, still the best way of making credits in World of Tanks. So yeah, use this possibility to actually make credits if your account is empty, and if you desperately need credits. Now, tip number 9 is try to get 1 day of premium account. And I have a dedicated video on how to make credits, and in this video I tell you how you can make how you can get 3 days of premium account. So it is linked right here. Try to check it out. And my tip for you is try to get a day of premium account, and if you have 1 day of premium account, then try to use it for Frontline, because it will significantly boost your credit income. Alright, as you can see, so far we are forced back to the end of the map by the enemy team. We only made it to captain so far, made 7,000 damage, 4,300 assisting damage. But yeah, we will just continue the game and see what we can do. And you know what? Let's just set up here and try to play hull down and use the benefits of the 122 TM, which is the high alpha gun and also the capability of playing hull down. And here you go. We're already spotted, so we have to keep moving. Here you go. Because the enemy team might, yeah, here you go, might set up an arty strike towards us, and so we definitely want to keep moving. Yeah, finally, tip number 10 is, as I said at the beginning, don't play more than 3 tanks at a time. You have to pay for the repair of your tank only once in Frontline. This is very important for you to know. No matter how often it gets destroyed and how often it gets repaired. So if you limit the amount of tanks, your income will increase, because the costs of repairing your tanks are limited. Once again, if you limit the number of tanks you take into the fight. So worst case is you play 20 different tanks, they all get destroyed, and you have to pay the repair costs 20 times. But if you like me, only play 3 tanks, then you have to pay the repair costs only 3 times, no matter how often your tank actually gets destroyed. So this is another very important tip for you to boost your credit income. And if you follow those 10 tips, you will not only make it to a general, but you will also boost your credit income, and you will have the chance to farm credits like it was in World of Tanks. And this is extremely important as a free-to-play player, because as you know, buying all those tanks in the tech trees is expensive. Buying premium ammunition is expensive, buying equipment is expensive, and so on and so forth. So most of the time you run out of credits, and so it is very important to use the rare opportunities to make credits in World of Tanks, and one of them is to play Frontline. As I said, alongside with premium tanks and hopefully a day of premium account. Okay, so we now want to make general. We are almost there, made 9,000 damage, and now what we want to do is we want to make one full clip, and I think with one full clip of damage we will make it to general in this game. And as you can see, as I said, my game plan was actually not too, let's say, proficient. It was the first game I played Frontline, and little spoiler here, we will make it to general. And so let's see, maybe the scorer, here you go, or to the SHPTK, the new Czech, here you go, the new Czech heavy tank. And now let's see, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 generals on the attacking team, now 2 generals on the defending team. So yeah, this actually proves my theory that the attackers have an easier job, at least in general. And now, yeah, I think this is all you need to know. We will just try to make more damage, and let's see. Now we have reloaded, nice, and okay, we bounce the shot on this. The hell is going on? Okay, at least 2 shots out of 4, but that was very unfortunate that we bounced 2 shots on the side of the Caliban. Does it actually have spaced armor there? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we made it to general. Now, actually, we have 5 generals on the defending team as well as on the attacking team. Now I will use inspiring because it actually does not matter anymore. Now I can get maybe a full clip on the WoT. Let's see. Now I just want to move forward, okay, and want to empty my clip on the LT432. Little internet breakdown right here as well. Yep, this is why I didn't make the second shot, but maybe those. Here you go, and now RT. Or yeah, RT strike on this position, because now I can get taken out, I don't care, and now I even make further damage. Nice. Yeah, so with those tips we made it to general, and I hope those tips help you out to also become general in Frontline, but also to make tons of credits. Alright guys, that was it for today with the little video about Frontline 2022 and how to become a general as soon as possible. What do you think about Frontline? Do you like this game mode? Do you like the fact that it's a tier 8 only game? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.